business opportunities in the renewable energy sector. This project is supported by Olon and shortly about the work that they do. And I'll do a very brief presentation about Clean Technology Hub, just to speak about the work that we do and some of our projects. No, so could you please help me project that? Okay, so if that is taking time, I'll just move on to just speaking very briefly about the work that we do. So we're a hybrid hub for research, incubation, market assessment, and we basically do work around the energy access and climate change portfolios. This boot camp is designed to equip everyone, especially the students, with the necessary information that they need to transition from academics to career or business in the sector. I'll go ahead and share our agenda for today and then hand over the mic to Francis Uduku from Olon to speak about the work that you do at Olon. I'll briefly run through the agenda just to give us a look and feel of what the day will be. After listening to Frances speak, we'll get right into the meat of the matter, where we'll be discussing renewable energy in the Nigerian context and basically forecasting the future of renewable energy in Nigeria, with the hopes that this would make our students curious and want to start a career in this space. And then more specifically, we'll be talking about career opportunities in the renewable energy sector and how we can strategically position ourselves to assess these opportunities, even especially as women, and the role that we have to play in the space. And then we'll do a quick round off, and then we come back tomorrow for the day 2 session. Now, the day 1 will focus on career opportunities and how to strategically position yourself for business, for a career in the sector and not just a job. But the day 2 will focus on building sustainable businesses, because that is what we really need. And that is one of the reasons why we're having this bootcamp in the first place. Because it's very important to us that students understand that there are several opportunities that have been made available to them to begin businesses in this space. And one of that is the Clean Tech Hub Olon Enterprise Development Program, which we'll get to hear about in the course of this program. Hello, Frances. Are you able to speak? So I'll be bringing Frances up to yes. Frances, can you hear me?
Can you all hear me clearly? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to the Clean Tech Hub team for putting this amazing 2-day bootcamp together and for ensuring that you have our active, or all-on's active participation. Such a pleasure being here. My name is Frances Udugu, and I am one of the Business Advisory Associates, a part of the All-On Hub. For those not readily familiar with All-On is an off-grid energy impact investing company seeded by Shell Nigeria. And we believe that access to energy and power is a basic necessity, or should be a basic necessity for all Nigerians. So when we look at the healthcare sector, we look at education, we even look at agriculture, or in terms of food scarcity, we overall believe that power and energy, like most, is a catalyst to improve lives and livelihood. And this very mission and basis is what builds up, or what comprises of our company's mandate. So it's indeed a pleasure to partner and collaborate with Clean Tech Hub in making this a reality. So a little bit more about what we do, and then I'll go into some more detail as to what the All-On Hub actually does. So at All-On, we work with several partners to increase access to commercial energy products and services for unserved and underserved energy markets. We have a special focus on the Niger Delta, but more particularly the off-grid energy solutions, spanning from solar, wind, hydro, biomass, and gas tech is of primary importance to us. I realized my video isn't on, so let me do that. Thank you all can see me. Can you see me clearly?
We can see you. It's just a little bit blurry, but I think maybe if you just move forward a bit, because your background is kind of interfering with your face.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'm trying to move my camera to see if that changes anything. But as long as you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, awesome. I'll continue as not to hold up on the agenda here. So the All-On Hub, was set up by All-On with strategic and financial support from the Rockefeller Foundation. And the All-On Hub is a facility established to provide non-financial support and build the capabilities of businesses within 4 phases, which I'll talk a little bit more about. So at the moment, or currently, we support over 44 ventures across ideation, angel stage, growth, and market entry phases of business. More particularly for Clean Tech Hub, we've partnered to essentially roll out a 16-week program for up to 30 energy businesses or energy entrepreneurs who have ideas or concepts that they are interested in rolling out or building to proof of concept, or building out a proof of concept. We also work with angel stage businesses as partnered with USAID to assist them with meeting their capital demands, as well as establishing their business's viability. And we work with businesses in the growth sector and market entry. So businesses that are either established and have reached post-pilot, or businesses that are foreign to the Nigerian space, but looking to enter the off-grid market. So we work with businesses across those phases of business, providing non-financial support, as well as assisting them with becoming investable or investor-friendly. I'd like to say that our model is quite dynamic. Our approach is quite dynamic, and it's designed to ensure that the market is viable, it's playable, and that businesses, more importantly, have the resources and the support they need to become investable. And it's a continuous process, right? So in essence, we ensure that businesses starting from the ideation stage or ideation phase of business have the opportunity to progress through the spectrum. So more particularly, as we work with businesses as part of Clean Tech Hub, we incubate them over the course of the 16 weeks, where they learn more in-depth approaches to business development, creating pricing models, understanding how to pitch. And the goal is to essentially assist them to get to the next phase of business after creating MVPs, after creating prototypes, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the second year that we're collaborating with Clean Tech Hub, and we are extremely, extremely delighted to continue this partnership. Clean Tech Hub has done such a great job. Miss Ify and her team has done such a great job driving the growth of the Nigerian clean and green economy. So it is a huge honor and delight to partner with the hub. And I mean, it's with the backing of last year's success that we've continued this partnership. So when I think about some of the businesses that we supported during last year's cohort, I think about Castor Hub, I think about AfriNet, and so many strong ventures that started off with just ideas and started off with concepts, and now are able to pilot. So we look forward to continuing this partnership, and we look forward to more importantly supporting ventures and for potential entrepreneurs like you all to eventually create sustainable solutions for the energy access space. I mean, more to the bootcamp, this 2-day bootcamp, we are eventually, looking that you all have the opportunity to learn from this 2-day bootcamp. It's without a doubt that our facilitators are experts in the sector. So I implore everyone to soak everything in. I implore you to pick up and learn as per what the energy access market is currently doing. I would say this is the best time to enter this emerging market, especially with opportunities in the public and private sector, and ensuring that the ground is fertile for business ideas or entrepreneurs in this space, even as early as ideation stage. So we look forward, here at All we look forward to supporting Clean Tech Hub further, and we look forward to the rest of the bootcamp and all of you who are interested in this space and looking to learn and keen on eventually starting ventures that will make its mark in the energy access and power market. So thank you all so much. Looking forward to the rest of the agenda.
Thank you so much for everything you said. We really appreciate the opportunity to work with Olon again, and we're really looking forward to all the achievements we can accomplish together. And hopefully, with everyone that's here in attendance, they feel really inspired and encouraged by all the things that Olon does, as well as the things that we hope to do in the future. And we hope that this really opens up the world to a whole lot of people who are maybe looking to venture into this sector or just looking to provide different solutions to their fellow Nigerians regarding energy access and a whole bunch of other things to push this country forward. So we really thank you for your presentation and for everything that you said today. So now I will just do a quick run over what CTH does really quickly. So okay, so sorry, can everyone hear me? Just want to confirm that because I might be having some.
Yeah, we can hear
everyone hear me? Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so Clean Technology Hub is a pioneering hybrid hub for the research, development, demonstration, and incubation of clean and green ideas and technologies in Africa, and their validation for commercial stage development. It is also, okay, can everyone see my screen? All right. It is also an early startup incubator for inventions and innovations in clean energy, a consultancy for sustainability and energy efficiency solutions, and a driver of clean energy and climate smart investments into Africa. So our main mission at Clean Technology Hub is to drive sustainable development across Africa through innovation in clean technologies and climate-friendly initiatives. We have our key objectives at Clean Technology, which involves resolving the energy poverty in Nigeria, as well as sub-Saharan Africa and the entire continent as a whole, building skills and capacity in technology, promoting gender inclusion in the energy sector, which is very important to what we do at Clean Technology Hub, innovating and ideating for local solutions, which we'll get into tomorrow. It's in the day 2 of our event. We also focus on addressing youth unemployment and advancing clean technologies across the entire continent. Our key focus areas are on energy access and environment and climate change. These are our 2 major departments, and our projects fall under both of these departments, with some of them actually having a cross-cutting nature where both departments are involved in the organization and execution of these projects. And we have 5 main approaches for everything that we do at Clean Technology Hub, and they are research, policy and strategy advisory, design thinking and analytics, training and advocacy, and startup incubation and ideation. And we have a host of other initiatives, research, and programs that range from work with the Africa Clean Energy Technical Facility Program and other things. So I will just quickly jump into the first panel for today, which will be, okay. The first panel for today is renewable energy in the Nigerian context, forecasting the future for renewable energy in Nigeria and its potential contributors. So before we start, I just want to give a brief overview. So this panel was focused on assessing renewable energy from the Nigerian perspective. We're all familiar with the nationwide problems of low energy access and the erratic energy supply that have persistently plagued our country. Many of us are also familiar with the impacts that our conventional methods of generating energy, such as oil, coal, firewood, and others, have on our environment. The combination of these 2 issues, energy access and climate change, has made it crucial for Nigeria to invest in renewable energy solutions to improve energy access that doesn't further contribute to global warming. However, in order to ensure that the most effective solutions are being provided, we must first assess the current situation in Nigeria to understand the existing landscape, as well as what works best for us. So joining us on this panel are Dr. Segun Adaju and Ms. Yewande Abiose. So I'll just give very brief introductions to our panelists. Dr. Segun Adaju is the founder and chief energizing officer of Consistent Energy Limited. He is an international expert in the field of renewable energy and the current president of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, or REAN for short. He is a graduate of the University of Lagos and a holder of a Bachelor of Science in Economics and MBA degrees with over 2 decades of banking experience in reputable financial institutions in Nigeria. He has also acquired professional training in the field of renewable energy at various reputable international institutions, including the Renewable Energy Academy in Berlin, Germany, and many others. He has provided expert consulting services for several institutions, cutting across public, private, and development agencies, such as the UNDP, World Bank, African Development Bank, ESI for All, and others. Dr. Segun was recently appointed by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning into the Technical Working Group for the development of the Medium-Term National Development Plan from 2021 to 2025 and the Nigeria Agenda 2050. Ms. Yewande Abiose is an energy economist with 14 years experience spanning audit, financial planning, consulting, and performance management within the energy sector. She started her career as an auditor in Deloitte Africa. She later joined Total Nigeria PLC as an internal auditor, where she worked with a team of experts to implement internal controls for the different aspects of the business. Her tenacity and significant contributions to the growth of the branch led her to become the first managing director of the Institute. She also launched Nigeria's first Energy Sustainability Conference in 2018, a conference that brings together professionals across the entire spectrum of the energy sector. So please, let's give a very warm welcome to our 2 panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
So I'd just like to quickly say that you have 10 minutes each. Thank you very much. I just want to say we have 10 minutes to give our presentation. So we really appreciate it if you could keep the time so that we can move on as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So I will remind you when you have 2 minutes left, just so you can wrap up on your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for the introduction. Let me just check that everyone can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. So my name is Yewande Abiose. I run the Energy Institute here in Nigeria. I'd like to start off by thanking the organizers of the bootcamp. I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's just refreshing to see organizations like yours actually giving back to the most important people that hold our future here in Nigeria. So thank you very much. I think it's fantastic. Clean Tech Hub, or Clean Technology Hub, I beg your pardon, all on Enactus and Student Energy. Thank you. This is fantastic. So I'll quickly run to my quick introduction about the Energy Institute. For those of you that haven't heard about us, we're a professional organization, and our focus is really to promote professionalism and expertise within the energy spectrum. So whether oil and gas, renewable energy, power, as long as you are a professional in that industry, you're very welcome into our network. What makes us special is that we are multidisciplinary. What that means is you don't have to be an engineer to be a part of the Energy Institute. As long as you have some interest in energy, you're very welcome to be a part of our network. We have over 30,000 members that span across 120 countries. And we also have corporate members, more than 200 corporate members with the Energy Institute at the moment. I'm sure you can see there that it also says that we've been around for 100 years. It is very true. We've been around for a very long time. But the Nigerian branch started just about 7.5 years ago. I've put in some things that I feel a lot of young people should find interesting. The first one there is the magazine that we publish every month, which is the Energy World and Petroleum Review. This is available online, thankfully. Also, the Energy Sustainability Conference, which was mentioned earlier during my introduction. That's a conference we run every year here in Lagos. So if you'd like to learn more, please go on our website. We also do trainings, oil and gas trainings, power trainings, renewable energy trainings. So please take time to check out energyinst.org when you do have time. So straight on to what I'm here to speak about, which is renewable energy sources. I like to call them low/zero carbon technologies because it just sort of explains it all. It's cleaner, it reduces carbon emissions, it reduces us being over-reliant on thermal plant power. It also helps with rural electrification. As you know, in the villages and in the rural areas, trying to get the different sources of energies to those areas can be a challenge. I mean, look at whether it's diesel, petrol, trying to get a truck just from here to some villages in your hometown, is literally, it's a huge challenge. And that's part of the reason why we have the poverty we see in Africa today. So it's important for us to find creative ways to bring renewable energies to these different areas. Also, it is more efficient and it is very effective. I've just highlighted there what the sources are. I'm sure we all know: hydro, wind, solar, geothermal, marine, and also biomass. I've put on something there that shows globally what we're looking at as at 2020. It shows here that hydropower is still leading, which is sort of expected. This is if we look at it in a global perspective. Wind is next, and then we have solar that produce 713,000 megawatts. Which is fantastic. Also, if you look at the other three, they're not doing as well as those at the top. That's why I've arranged them like that. But as you know, as time goes on and more work is being done and more research is being done, we're definitely going to see these three also featuring. I'm hoping everyone is following me with my slides because I'm just focusing on my slides on this end. Okay, so you can see at the extreme right, there's a graph that explains the difference between the different renewable energy sources. Again, as I said, hydro is doing fantastically well, wind and also solar. But something you've noticed, or I noticed in 2019, is that solar just recently started getting a lot of traction. Hence the reason why it just leapt, over the other renewable sources. So another thing I've highlighted there is that in 2016, 24% of global electricity was from renewable energy. And in 2018, just 2 years after, there was an increase to 26.2%. This is pretty good. And I think the good news here, I'm pretty optimistic when I'm telling the Nigerian or African story. The good news here is that it's going to increase by 45% by 2040. This is a good thing, it just shows there going to be very creative ways for people to make money, very creative ways for you to come up with ideas on how to help lift the African nation forward. Next slide. So my next slide, just a quick highlight. I'm hoping I'm doing okay with my time right now. I didn't check before starting, apologies. But yes, Africa has renewable energy share of 2% of what I showed in the previous slide. This isn't very great. It's just literally 52,000 megawatts. But it also shows that we have potentials, with solar, with wind, that there are many creative ways for us to ensure that these numbers go up. There's another table on the right there, just showing where we were as of 2013. I've put in the entire energy mix on purpose because I want you to see that, yes, there's crude oil, the conventional that we're used to, gas, oil and gas, it's on there, but you can also see the green area. That's the biofuels and waste. So that's actually where we get a lot of our energy source from in Africa. And that's interesting. The only thing that is worth mentioning is, obviously this is like firewood, biomass, is that it's not necessarily very clean. And also deforestation is something that we're battling with at the moment. So I would, in the ideal world, in my opinion, is to check the other aspects, as you can see on that chart, which is hydro, geothermal, solar, wind. We need to increase that, but increase it to the right, in my opinion, so that then crude oil reduces, all the not so clean energy reduces. Next slide, please. So this is my final slide, sort of. On here, I'm talking about where we are planning to go, and also work in progress. I put work in progress there because I want everyone to know that, yes, there might be some negatives, there might be some things we're not very happy with, but there's still some level of work that is being done, which we should be proud of. First, where we are, Nigeria has 12,500 megawatts of installed generation capacity, but only 5,000 is available to you and I. We all know we pay much more for generators, and I read somewhere that's possibly ×4 of the cost of the power, the grid power. Renewable energy has greater potential to ensuring enough energy power supply to rural areas and the entire country at large. I've put in some figures on there just to see what it's looking like in Nigeria percentage-wise. As expected, hydro is doing better. As you can see there, biogas seems to be negligible. I'll jump to work in progress. So in the past year alone, the government invested over 20 billion in solar power projects. I'm glad Mr. Adaju, Dr. Adaju is here so that he can let me know, Yewande, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure. Please, you are the player in the industry. We just support you, so please feel free to comment on some of these, my points. Also, the CBN Solar Fund, which was stated to be 7 billion naira, where 100,000 homes were given solar systems, and it was supposed to be disbursed by the Renewable Energy Agency. Also, solar energy projects at Sabongari is set to generate 1 to 4 megawatts. That's also an interesting project, work in progress. Also focus on solar energy source and wind energy. For example, World Bank has invested, or rather financed, 10,000 solar powers and mini grids. This is also good news. It shows that they know what's going on and they're looking to support Africa as we grow. There's also some mention regarding hydropower there and also wind. Wind isn't as buoyant as we would like, but we believe that over time, as technology gets better, as more research is being done, that's one area that definitely needs to be looked at. So where are we going? Nigeria's future renewable energy is driven by Electricity Vision 30-30-30. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. And the idea is to achieve technology-driven energy generation of 30 gigawatts by 2030 with 30% renewable energy. So what this means is that we understand that we are moving towards the cleaner side of life, So this is something that the government is supporting. This is something that the world is supporting at large. So I've put in there some other figures. I'll definitely share these slides with anyone that has further questions, but we're going somewhere great, and I'd like for us to just stay positive, believing that really we can achieve it with everyone's support. I've put in here some other points on the next slide, just showing why renewable energy is so important globally. I've mentioned why it needs to be, it's simply because it's reliable and it's stable. Also because of the fact that, with all the spills we hear now and then all over Nigeria, it would reduce all the security issues that we face. Also with employment.
Sorry, if I could just quickly jump in, just a minute left. Thank you. Sorry.
I needed that, thank you. Also with employment, this is an area that we haven't really explored. So as we're growing in this industry, you find that we would be able to employ more people, we'll be able to find out where there are gaps and obviously expand employment in those areas. Also price stability, if we wouldn't have as much fluctuation as we have in your regular and conventional sources of energy. Yeah, so I think those are the main points there. I've put one last slide just for the fun of it, but it's also very important. It's the Sustainability Goal 7, SDG 7, which is extremely important because it talks about affordable, clean energy. And that's one thing that is at the top of everybody's agenda, whether it is your top oil and gas company or your power company. This is something everyone's talking about. I don't know if you've noticed a lot of companies now, I'm not going to mention their names, they're no longer saying they're an oil and gas company. They're no longer saying they're into just gas. They're now calling themselves energy companies. It's simply because they're swearing they want to move to the next area, and this is a good thing for you. This is a good thing for everyone. So figure out how you can play in this renewable area. I've put on this last chart just so that you can see that it's important for all of us, and everyone has a role to play. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was actually just right on time. So we thank you for that presentation. That was really enlightening, and there was so much information in there that was going to be really helpful. So we hope everyone enjoyed the presentation as much as I did. And I just wanted to say, please, if anyone has any questions for her, we invite you to please put them in the chat box and we will ask these questions later. So thank you very much, Ms. Yewande. Okay, so Dr. Segun, we invite you to please give your presentation. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks to Yewande for that very good presentation. You made my job very easy. So what I just want to do is to pick out a case study from what she has shown us, the opportunities that exist. I've been talking about the technologies from wind, from sun, from energy waste. Please, I'd like to share my screen. So if the host can permit me to do that, please. I have a short slide to just run through. So just to showcase basically what is possible and what has been done, really.
You've been granted permission, sir. Okay.
Yes, I've seen that. In very few minutes. That will be my role here. And also to show to all of us some of the opportunities that exist. So I'm picking directly renewable energy that is distributed as part of all the opportunities that Yewande just showed us. My name is Segun Adaju. I have the privilege of being the president of the Industry Association in Nigeria. So the industry wants to, that's the Industry Association, REA, wants to help Nigeria achieve an energy mix that includes 40% renewables. We have different types of membership, and I'm also happy to tell you that that we have student membership cadre that is almost free to join. I mean almost free, as long as you remain a student. So we look forward to welcoming many of you. So let me just give a brief about the energy situation. I'm a former banker. I see myself as a banker, but I've seen business opportunity in this space, and that's why I'm here. Of course, the number of people that we have, over 208, the energy that we generate is not enough. At best, 5,800 megawatts. The gap is huge, and currently that gap is being met by generators. So you have about 42 million units of generators powering Nigeria. And you have Nigerians spend over $14 billion every year just to buy fuel. See the numbers. So the solution is what we call distributed energy. An energy system or a model that is already existing. That's what I'm showing you this picture. So the man in Computer Village, in which other market now? Maybe, I mean, area market has gone, distributed. But any other market, maybe in Aba, using this generator, is already running on a distributed energy model. And that's why we're making a case for distributed renewable energy. So instead of using the generator, we take away that generator and we deploy a solution that is clean. And that's the reason why you and I were here. So different sizes of generators, the numbers, I mean, at times humongous, and the cost and spend on maintaining these generators alone is huge. SMEs in Nigeria, over 41, 42 million of SMEs in Nigeria. 75% of them power themselves daily, 1 hour to 10 hours using generators. And of course, pollution everywhere. And that's what we see. So what does the future look like? Like I said, I'm doing a case study from what Yewande has told us, and I'm just taking one opportunity that exists. Remember that distributed energy or renewable energy can be either solar, it can be wind, it can be small hydro, it can be biomass generated, and also there's what we call geothermal that is still being explored. And interestingly, there's money in that market. So the total addressable market is seen as about $10 billion for off-grid only, okay? And meanwhile, under distributed energy, people are already spending $14 billion to fuel their generators. So you can see that the money already exists. So it's just for you and I to think properly of a business model that will convert this $14 billion to fund the market that is seen as $10 billion. Right. And what are the kind of solutions we're seeing? So we're seeing small solar solutions. So there are companies like Greenlight Planet, G-Light, that distributing solar lanterns, solar home systems in very rural communities that are not powered by the grid, where there are no grid connection. Almost half of Nigeria is not connected to national grid. There are urban and peri-urban centers. I mean, this roof you are seeing, that's actually where I'm seated right now and speaking to you. This is my house. And I've had the privilege of working from home for over 1 year since the lockdown. And I'm not even motivated to go back to my office because I have 24 hours uninterrupted power supply from solar. This is my baba in the same estate that is running on solar and efficiently. And it's cheaper than his generator that he was using before. He doesn't use generator any longer now. Part of distributed energy is also mini grids. And I'm flashing this figure to show you. This is a place called Bisanti in Niger State. And this young man that you're seeing here started a company that is now one of the leading, if not the leading developer of mini grids in West Africa. Also, supported by the likes of Olam. His name is Ifeanyi Rajaka. He was a student like many of you guys here when he started the company. 3 of them, they were undergraduates. I think Federal University of Technology, Yewande. I decided that company, and today they are deploying mini grids all over the place. The opportunities that you can also take. I've flashed this, my roof. This is a friend's school, ADEX Montessori School in Lekki, that is running on 80 kilowatt P of solar solution, completely off-grid. And under a financing model that makes it affordable, so it doesn't worry about the cost, it's just paying monthly rentals. This is a facility in Ikeja or Segun, precisely, of a company that assembles generators. And I'm pausing to let it sink in. So the company is assembling generators and selling to Nigerians. They're running on solar power. A filling station in Lagos, in Igbagbo, next to Sheraton, running on solar power. And yet selling fuel for you, I mean, not me, maybe some of us, to go and power our generators at home. I don't have a generator in the last 8 years. This is a facility this is Igbobi Orthopedic Hospital in Lagos, also on solar. This is a farmhouse actually, is in Kwara State, a place called Kayama. So solar is powering grinding machine for farm produce. Endless opportunities. Cell sites are being powered by solar now. This is somewhere in Ogun State. Akute is Ogun State, right? Yes, the outskirts of Lagos. Nigerian breweries just deployed a solar solution recently at the outskirts of Ibadan, 650 kilowatt power to power a brewery. Okay, and endless opportunity. I run a company that our vision is to also, displace 1 million generators, and that's, it's exciting to have many of us looking into this space. So there are huge opportunities to play in the renewable energy space. As the last estimate, we need about 200,000 engineers in Lagos to be able to service the facility, the plants that will be installed, either IPPs, that's independent power plants, either powered by gas or solar, or maybe some level of wind. So just service the over 20 million people in Lagos that requires estimated 10 million, 10,000 megawatts. Okay. And so that's also an opportunity. So in renewable energy, what we call the value chain, right from the production and the assembly to the deployment, to the maintenance, to the retailing. Some Nigerians, young men and women, are already assembling products in Nigeria. Oxano is assembling solar panels. There's a young man, I think Okechukwu, Green Age, also funded by Olo. And I think he's just a fresher from the university. I'm not sure it's been long that he left the university. He's producing inverters and charge controllers and the rest in Nigeria. So you can see the huge opportunity that exists. And this industry is seen as the future of energy in Nigeria, in Africa, and probably the rest of the world. So it's an industry that has a lot of opportunity, like I mentioned, that you can find a place, you can find your space, just create a model and sit in there and make things happen, and then you'll be reckoned with. Lastly, and I'll close with this. Some years ago, we used to see some guys in blue jackets, once they enter a street with their ladder, most heart will be pounding. The few guys, less than 400,000 of them that had landlines. I'm very sure you're not seeing them again today, because everybody's on mobile, right? So I don't need any Nitel. I don't even know if Nitel exists any longer. Correct me if I'm wrong. But every one of us will have mobile phone. The future of energy is also taking that shape, where you might not see in quotes a NEPA man, okay, and a Ikeja disco guy wearing a brown jacket and helmet and bringing ladder and wanting to call your line from the pole, and you're scared. I don't bother about them in the last 8 years, and that's what's empowering. That's the future of energy in Nigeria, in Africa, and in the world. So I welcome you guys to this sector. You have role models and mentors that you can engage with. We're happy to have the likes of Ifimalo of Cleantech doing this in the space in Nigeria. Thank you. I'll be happy to take questions at the right time.
Thank you very much, Doctor. This was also a very enlightening and a very informative presentation, especially with some of the pictures that you showed us. Actually, those were really good. Just seeing you working in the field and interacting with people. And I really hope that everyone who's in attendance today has learned a lot, and hopefully people can communicate with you, reach out to you, as you said, and just, anyone who needs any advice or anything. So thank you so much for that presentation. We really appreciate it. So I'm just going to quickly jump into the question and answer sessions, but I can't answer all of them because we need to move it along. So I'm just going to ask one question. There was a question directed at, sorry, if I can just find it. There was a question directed at Ms. Yewande earlier, and the question was, it was asking if the Energy Institute can train Enactu students in the field. So,
Yes.
Ms. Yewande, are you there? Okay.
I did see it. So I'd already said an email can be sent. But yes, this is something this is our focus, really. We want to be able to support students. We have student members, and we also have a network called the Young Professionals Network, and they sort of help push the different ideas on capacity building, what areas we need to help support them. So yes, please send me an email. Let me know who you are, what you're studying, and we can definitely advise. You did ask as a corporate, so it will be great to have a proposal or something, and we can definitely look through that together. There was another question on regarding volunteering. That's also something we're very passionate about. I always say that the best way to connect with our industry is always to find opportunities to either network with your peers or network with your with people that have more experience, which is obviously having more mentors. So we have a mentorship program at the moment. So if you want, you can send us an email also, and we can let you know how you can voluntarily support either through events that we have, or even connect you with some organizations that are looking for your kind of expertise, to support them voluntarily. So yes, those two areas. Capacity building through trainings, volunteering, that's my baby. So please feel free to send me an email about it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ms. Yewande. Thank you so much for that. There was a final question, but that would actually lead into the next session. And the question was asking what skills are needed for the energy sector. And this is actually, it's a really opportune question, because our next session is about career opportunities in the renewable energy sector. And this will be the speakers that we've invited for this panel today will be Mrs. Rolake Rosiji of Jobberman, Ms. Patricia Mong from Wayne Energy Consult, and Dr. Olamide Oguntoye. So I'll just give a quick bios for all three of them. Okay, so Ms. Patricia Mong is an ambitious and result-oriented energy professional with proven performance in energy transactions and market research and analysis in the support of business viability. She has consulted directly for 7 of the 11 Nigerian distribution utilities and served as regulatory manager, seconded to one of them. She also was on the team that created a renewable tariff toolbox for West African countries to support the proliferation of mini grids and increasing regional electrification rates. She is a graduate of the Eastern Mediterranean University and a holder of a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, as well as a master's degree in Renewable Energy Systems Engineering from the University of Surrey. Ms. Rolake Rosiji is a Nigerian executive with a decade of global professional experience. She is currently the CEO for Jobberman, Sub-Saharan Africa's largest online recruitment and training platform. She leads a superstar team to ensure the right candidates are connected with the right employers by using intelligent technology and trust-based relationships. The vision is to transform the world of work in Nigeria by using technological and transparent systems, and to solve youth unemployment challenges by training and placing young people in jobs. She is passionate about leapfrogging economic growth in Nigeria and across Africa by solving big problems like youth unemployment, job creation, and workforce planning, and doing so intelligently. And finally, Mr. Olamide Oguntoye. He supports the leadership team of Clean Technology Hub through his expertise in advisory and consulting. He specializes in strategy and innovation for the clean energy industry and has led the delivery of complex consulting projects for top-tier organizations across Europe. He is the founder of the Oxbridge Unilag Alumni Initiative, which supports scholarly and leadership excellence among promising Nigerian undergraduates. Recognized as a leader committed to promoting community development, Olamide is the recipient of multiple international awards. He holds a PhD in engineering from the University of Cambridge. So I would like to warmly welcome all three of you to the stage, and thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to this panel and all the questions, all the knowledge and expertise you're going to bestow upon us. So thank you once again for joining. So I will just dive really quickly into the questions for this session. And I would like to start with Ms. Patricia. And the question I would like to ask, which I can imagine is the question on many people's lips, is what are the fastest growing jobs in the renewable energy sector?
Okay, hello everyone. So when you say fastest growing jobs, so it's pretty much, I don't want to say new because, well, we've been hearing about renewable energy for a while, but in the Nigerian space, it's still growing. I remember we were working on a project a while ago and thinking about how many mini grids are actually in Nigeria at the moment. And we're trying to do some calculations, and we didn't have all that. We couldn't find up to 100. There might be more. We were thinking it may be between 100 and 500, but I don't think right now in Nigeria, you would find up to 100 to 500 sites for mini grids, for the off-grid space. And so what that means, everything is new. So there's opportunities in every area. So I'll say, for example, if you're an engineer, it's a big space for you right now. If you're an accountant, if you're in finance, so if you think about any business and all the things that a business needs to work, everything that a business needs to work, you're pretty much looking at all of that. So economists need to be involved. If you're a modeler, financial modeler, you need to be involved. If you're into design, you can get involved. If you're a writer, if you're in communications, so when I say fastest growing jobs, you pretty much can do anything. So I'd say right now what's big is for the solar engineers and for the guys who are in financing. Those pretty much will be the big ticket people, and then the guys in regulatory consulting. Apart from that, I think everything else pretty much is very busy right now, really growing fast in the sector.
Thank you very much for that. It's actually really important to educate people on what some of the fastest growing careers in the sector are, because a lot of people, especially people who don't really know anything about the sector, they always wonder, what job can I get into? What's the most available job? Which can I experience the most career growth with? So it's, especially for these students who, many of them might not actually, understand, especially those who think, it's mostly for engineering or technical students. So just expanding that one for them to, just expanding that for them to really grasp, the reality of the sector is really important. So thank you for your answer. I'd like to ask Ms. Rolake about the recruitment in the renewable energy sector. And I just wanted to ask you if you could enlighten us on what opportunities are available to students for recruitment into the renewable energy sector.
Hi, good afternoon, So my name is Perpetual. I'll be speaking on behalf of Rolake this afternoon. I'm the head of recruitment for Jobberman Limited.
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. So in terms of opportunities that are available for students in renewable energy, the opportunities are actually endless, right? So we have opportunities from technical roles to non-technical roles, right? We have opportunities from technical roles to non-technical roles, just as Patricia mentioned, right? So you have roles, like sales engineers, you have technicians, you have roles for, even tech roles for data analysts, right? The world is now data-driven. So you have endless opportunities. what I like to advise people to do, the next new thing is renewable energy. You would see that a lot of your top oil and gas companies are now investing in renewable energy, and they are now drifting towards renewable energy. And then the Nigerian government is actually pumping money into that sector as well. CBN had estimated that would have about 250,000 jobs coming from that sector. So the opportunities are endless. From being a salesperson to being a finance person to being a data analyst to being a back-end developer, the opportunities are endless for that industry. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for that. I actually have a bit of a question regarding some of these recruitment opportunities, and it's just regarding the number of people who might want to come into and please, by all means, I guess it's open for Ms. Patricia and for Ms. Perpetua as well, and Olamide as well, please. I'm just really thinking, how would you say like the nature of recruitment is right now? Like, are you experiencing rising, or would you say that there's rising volume of people who are trying to get into the sector? Because I know that maybe like 10, 15 years ago, renewable energy was not exactly the in thing. It wasn't exactly fashionable to say you're trying to get into renewable energy. But like, how much has that landscape changed over the past few years?
Okay, I'd like to take this question, right? So we've been having influx of roles from the renewable energy sector. The number of roles we've had in the past couple of months has increased significantly. And we also have, young graduates asking, what can I do to get into this industry? I can begin to mention the number of renewable energy companies that have come to Jobberman to say they're hiring for sales engineers, they're hiring for solar technicians, roles in finance. So the number of opportunities has grown tremendously in the last couple of months. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Patricia, would you like to follow up on that, or?
So yes, pretty much. When I'd say a couple of years ago, well, 10, 15 years ago in Nigeria, even now, renewable, just like you were asking about, are people getting involved as they should? Most people, and I've spoken to a bunch of, I do talk to a couple of students once in a while, and most people kind of think that you have to have some sort of specialized training to be able to get into the market. So it's not even a market they're looking at. But I was talking to someone and I say, okay, let's even think about on-grid. In on-grid, you go to say an AEDC or an Ikeja Electric, you will find all sorts of people working there. So the only guys who work there are not the guys on the poles, guys doing the lines and all of those things. You have the guys who are selling energy. You pretty much have, it's the same thing with RE. It's just like any other sector. People are getting more interested, but a lot of the projects now, we have local developers who are starting up companies and are hiring local people, because some years ago, it was more of the foreign companies who were doing business in Nigeria. So now we have a lot more of the local companies, and that's a good thing. So it's really opening up the space.
Thank you for that. Mr. Oguntoye, any contributions from you regarding this?
Right, thanks very much, Chicken. So yeah, and it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm just going to reiterate what the previous two speakers have mentioned. So there is a lot of evolution right now happening in the clean energy space, not just in Nigeria, but globally. And you're going to see a whole range of different trends in how companies are hiring. You're going to have the incumbents, the very big, well-established organizations, and as well, you're going to have some new entrants. So startups, you're going to have people who are creating some new innovative solutions. Some of them are using digital technologies and artificial intelligence, machine learning and things like that. And you're going to have that, big mix of different value providers, all hiring and recruiting into different roles. It's a trend that has already started, like my colleagues have mentioned, but you're going to have more of it over the next years. So the opportunities continue to be there, and the more diverse you are, and the more open and flexible you are towards the changes that are happening in the industry, the more your chances of really succeeding in this industry.
Thank you. And I'd actually like to follow that up, Mr. Oguntoye, with a question for you. And it's about the realistic career paths in the renewable energy sector. And I'm wondering this because sometimes people go into certain sectors and they think, there's this straight and narrow path, like I come in as a junior associate and then I get this promotion, that promotion, and before you know it, I'm the CEO. And especially in the sector like sustainability or renewable energy, where there are so many different avenues to go. You can start in one place and before you know it, you find yourself in another thing. You can start in solar and before you know it, you're working in hydro or biomass or something like that. So what would you say is a realistic career path in the renewable energy sector? Like not as a generalization, but just maybe based on your experience with yourself or maybe people you're familiar with.
Right, thanks very much for that. Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid point. So there's this thing that says nature doesn't have the straight line. There's, if you look around nature, whether it's the skies or it's the trees or it's the forest, wherever you look in nature, you probably wouldn't find a straight line. And the same thing applies to career trajectories, not just in the renewable energy sector, but also across, other sectors as well. You can have, it's important to have a goal and it's important to have a plan to say, in X number of years, I like to be operating at this level. But at the same time, it's important to be flexible, to be able to accommodate the changes that nature brings. But one of the things that I like to say to people in planning the career trajectory is to kind of look at the career in phases. So you can break it up into 3 big buckets. The first, which is more like the entry level bucket, where you spend the first 3 to 5 years of your career just after graduating. It tends to be very hands-on, tends to be very operational. Where you're doing the hardcore work. If it's programming, you are the one doing all the programming. If it's analysis, you are the one doing most of the analysis. Then comes the second stage where you are more in a managerial role. And you're kind of managing people who are, doing the hardcore work and getting things done. And then the final bit has to do with the executive level, taking, big decisions for companies and organizations that you work with, and also selling, doing a lot of sales, business engagement and things like that. So those are like the 3 key phases. And it's important that you plan, your trajectory such that you start, from phase 1 and you're able to end up in phase 3. I've seen a lot of people in their careers who have been stuck in phase 1, and that's one thing to be mindful of. And it's not peculiar to the renewable energy industry, like I said previously. It's across all industries. Have a goal, have that long-term vision of what you want to achieve. Let's say after 10 years of this industry, but do not be too rigid about it, because there is no straight line in nature. You're gonna have times when you want to become the next operations manager for a solar home systems organization, but that role is not available. But then there is another one that has to do with managing a team of researchers in that same industry. So that could be an upgrade as well, and be flexible enough to be able to take it and to be able to see each opportunity as a learning opportunity, an opportunity to develop, so long as it's taking you further above your starting point, and it's taking you closer to the position or kind of level that you've set for yourself. Then it's a good opportunity and something to take up.
Thank you so much for that answer. I really appreciate that, because some of the things that you said, especially regarding, breaking up the way you view that career, like from the first phase, second phase, third phase. I actually, personally, I almost wish I had that conversation with you a few years ago, because I came into the development sector wanting to go on a quote unquote straight and narrow path right into, solar energy and things like that. But then I found myself in another career that was adjacent to what I wanted to do. And then there was that challenge of, this is where I want to be, but this is where I am right now. And like, am I going the wrong way? Am I doing something the wrong way? But just learning to trust that process and actually just, have that plan for yourself and understand that, okay, just because this particular job you want right now isn't available, doesn't mean there isn't another way to get to it. So I really appreciate you saying this. And I hope that the people in attendance have also, learned something from what you said. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Miss Rolake Rosiji, thank you for joining us today. I see that your video is on. Thank you. I just wanted to ask this question regarding the role of internships, because as you know, a lot of students, they tend to start with internship positions before actually then jumping into the main career. But then sometimes others might just want to, overlook that and go right into their career. So I just wanted you to, if you could just touch on the importance of internships in building a professional career in the renewable energy sector, but also just overall. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks for having me. Sorry, I was a little bit late, but I think you are in very good hands with Perpetual. So Perpetual is the head of recruitment at Jobberman. So she's the one receiving all the requests from the renewable energy companies. And, she's seeing everything coming through on our CRM. And really, there's so much movement in the sector. So to your question about internships, absolutely, it's such a great way for people to get into the sector. As Olamide and Patricia and Perpetual have spoken about, the renewable energy sector has such a wide variety of jobs. So whether it's people looking for solar technicians to credit managers, customer care staff, customer care managers, the full spectrum, people looking for business development managers, people who can raise finance and work with large donors in order to raise finance, because we all know how much investment is pouring into this sector. So in terms of internships being the door opener, it really makes a lot of sense. A lot of these companies, as has already been spoken about, are international. Then there's Nigerian companies. They do have, a good budget to bring in excellent staff. However, nobody's going to say no to a young, smart person who can come in for a couple of months, on a lower salary. So I think internships are a very smart way to get in. If you're currently a student, you're currently studying, maybe you're in your second year and you have summer coming up and you're available, I would suggest you join. So previous to my current role, before I was CEO of Jobberman, I was country manager of MCOPA, which is a leading asset finance company, and I was leading the solar pay-as-you-go business and also the pay-as-you-go business for mobile phones. When I took on that job, my boss in Kenya, because MCOPA is a Pan-African company and the headquarters in Kenya. So my Canadian boss in Kenya said, hey, there are all these smart young people in the University of, what university was it? Anyway, there were all these universities in America who wanted to send students to Nigeria and across Africa. And so I got an intern from University of, gosh, I forget which university, but it was in the East Coast, and he flew to Nigeria for 2 months, stayed with us, he had an amazing time, he learned a lot. He went back to America, he completed his studies, and now he has a job, actually funny enough in Japan. So the reason I tell that story is he had no experience before in renewable energy. He didn't know anything about it. He was studying something related to electricity. He had a very technical degree and he just wanted to put it into practice. So, what I'd suggest to people listening across universities in Nigeria, students, people who finish university and are figuring out what you want to do, this is a sector that's growing. In our previous panel, we heard about the various types of opportunities that are coming up, investment from left, right, and center, whether it's from Office of the Vice President, whether it's from the World Bank, whether it's from All On, who are on this call, USADF. This sector is going to keep growing. So, if you have a long-term horizon, you're young, try out with an internship, impress your employers, be open, learn a lot, and it will be a good way for you to get a full-time job.
Thank you so much for that, for those answers. I actually, based on something you said, I'd actually have like a follow-up question. And it's based on the way a lot of people view internships. As you know, sometimes people, they look at it as, it's a good opportunity for experience, but what's the remuneration, what am I putting in my pockets for the internship? And I would just like you, if you could really emphasize, the importance of the experience in those initial phases, especially because, as you said, it's a growing sector. So as time goes on, there will be more opportunities for people. It's to keep expanding, and people can always find opportunities to, find themselves in successful careers and well-paying jobs. So if we could just really touch on the value of getting that experience in your early years in your career that can then actually propel you to the jobs you want, that could actually then provide the finances that people might be interested in.
Yeah, that's a very good question, because everybody's looking for money, right? And especially at that age, you need it. But yes, it's about the experience as well. So don't sniff if somebody is only going to pay your transport, right? What would you have been doing otherwise? You'd have been sitting at home watching Netflix. So if somebody's paying for your transport and paying for your lunch, take a chance. But also, if their employer is on the call, we also have to treat people with dignity, right? So if you can pay a bit, try and pay a bit. Me personally, and I'm sure it's the same for Patricia and Olamide, personally, I did so many free internships throughout my life, even free jobs. Let me not even talk about internship. So many from undergraduate level to postgraduate level. But guess what? It worked, So my first job after my master's was in Ernst & Young, and I hated it so much I had to quit. And the only reason I could quit was because, lucky for me, I had done an internship in the summer during my master's with a consulting company. And I then managed to convince them to give me a job. So I could leave that Ernst & Young job because I got another job through that internship that I'd done for free. And that job, I wasn't getting, when I did get the job, the salary was so terrible, much lower than the Ernst & Young salary. Or let me not say it was terrible, but it was a very small salary. But again, I learned so much, and it gave me a lot of exposure. I had wonderful bosses who are mentors to this day, who give me opportunities to this day. So yeah, see an internship not only as for money, it's for the experience, it's for the relationships, for the network. And if you come into this sector, everybody knows everyone in this sector. People give a good word for one another. So, if you're young, it's good to get in now and start making a name for yourself.
Thank you so much. That's really enlightening, and it's actually really important to answer those questions. I would like to invite Patricia and Olamide, if you could please follow up on that. So if there's anything you'd like to share regarding the topic of, weighing internship versus salary, I guess. Thank you.
Well, yeah, Rolake has said it all. Internships are extremely important. So yeah, salary is of course an important criterion, but there are quite a number of other criteria that are just as important, if not more important. So, you know about the catch-22 situation that a lot of people find themselves in. You want to get a job and they're asking for a number of years of experience, but then to get the experience, you need a job. So, an internship is one of the ways to break out of that cycle, that's, catch-22 cycle. And in terms of understanding what is required on the job after graduation, an internship is also the good way to, get a sneak peek and to understand the requirements. So I've worked, for instance, with quite a number of, junior colleagues, analysts, and some of them are fresh out of school. Some of them are fresh out of college. And one of the things that distinguishes them is how well prepared they are on using tools like, everyday, spreadsheets and PowerPoint. Those are things that you can hone, in the process of doing an internship. Those are skills that will set you apart and will, kind of make you a promising candidate for the jobs that you take after the graduation. So an internship will help you understand what skills is required. It helps you break out of the catch-22 situation. And like I just mentioned, it helps you also build a network. So now you have people who have worked with you, who know your competence level and can put in a word or two for you at some point if you need it in the future. They can also be there to serve as mentors. And even if they don't open doors for another job for you, they can just be there as a sounding board. You want to transition from one platform to the next platform, or from one company, going from Ernst & Young to another company. The networks you've built in the process of having an internship can give you an insight into what you can expect in the other organization. So yeah, those criteria are equally important. Yes, you need some stipends to get by, But usually the internship is just for 3 months or for 4 months or for 6 months or maximum 1 year or even 18 months. It's not forever. So you can learn a lot. You can build strong networks. You can achieve so much within the period of an internship, even if the money isn't so great.
Right. So I'll say, I don't think you can really run away from internships sometimes, because sometimes you've even done one job before, and then in another job, what they're asking for you to do is to intern because you don't have the experience to be full staff. So then sometimes people think interns are only like really young people. Sometimes you might be interning and there'll be somebody who's maybe even 10 years older than you and they're an intern too. So don't think of internship as something that is a bottom of the barrel thing. So it's not going to be, just like Olamide and Rolake have said, it's not going to be forever. It's going to be for a while. And also another thing I noticed sometimes we do with internships is that we tend to look for the internships with like the big companies. And that's great. It's good to get internships with companies that are really popular, that have, the big ticket companies. But actually, one of the things I found out from my own career was that working with the smaller companies, and when I say small, not necessarily small or new. And when I say not necessarily a new company, but a company that's smaller, might not be able to pay as much. One of the things that's really great about them is that you gain a lot more experience, and you gain that experience really fast. So because the company's small sometimes, and because sometimes they're going to need certain things to happen, you have to think on your feet, you have to do things. I know somebody who was interning with the company I was working for and ended up traveling with one of the big consultants. I think he was about 3 months in and he just graduated, and he pretty much got the opportunity to do a presentation to the board of a distribution company in 3 months of working in the company, because he prepared that presentation to go with a consultant, and the consultant wasn't feeling fine on that trip. So he had to have him do it. That opportunity will probably never have come in a bigger company. They'd have sent someone else. So sometimes, as much as you're looking for the big stuff, there's a lot of people competing for that. If you find something in a smaller company, maybe sometimes also think about being able to take that and just challenge yourself. You don't have to do it. You don't even have to stay till the end of the internship if you find something better. But the experience you get and the relationships you build, sometimes they're invaluable and they will remain with you for the rest of your life. So it is one of the best paths in your career. And I don't think you can escape it, actually.
Thank you so much for that. Wow, that was a lot. And I really like that, because I wish we had more time, because there was something you mentioned now that's actually really important, and it was the mobility and the flexibility of careers in the renewable energy sector, like how you can start somewhere, you can freely move somewhere else. You don't have to stay stuck in the same place. So I really appreciate these answers. And I just wanted to ask, before we wrap up this session, if you have any last words, any words of advice. I mean, you've already given us so much, but forgive me, I have to be a bit greedy and ask for a little more. So any final thoughts?
I'll just say one. So as Perpetual said, at Jobberman, we're receiving a lot of requests from renewable energy employers looking for people who want to work in the sector, customer care, credit analysts, solar technicians. So please do, if you haven't already, fill out a profile on Jobberman and upload your CV, or fill out the digital CV, because there are a lot of opportunities. So yeah, that's my final word.
Right, so thanks for that opportunity. I'll just say one thing, and even though it sounds cliche, but it's one of the things that I found to be extremely helpful in developing your career, and that's to get proactive. A lot of the time when students are just coming out of school, they tend to operate based on, our lecturer gave us this assignment to do, therefore we have to do it. It's all kind of reactive, just reacting to what the system throws at you. But as soon as you set foot out of the doors or out of the gates of that school, there is no lecturer giving you an assignment anymore. You have to be the one who's looking out for the opportunities and reaching out to people. Sometimes some of these jobs do not get advertised. And I guess, Rolake can tell you a lot more about, some of the insights from recruitment. A lot of the jobs out there do not get advertised. And sometimes you just have to be, proactive, reaching out to people who you feel might be helpful, and not just for the initial opportunity to get into the industry, but also along the line of the career progression. Even 10 years down the line, that's something that you still continue to find useful. So yeah, just put it at the back of your mind to get proactive. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunities out there in the renewable energy industry.
Okay, I know time's almost gone. So I think what I always say this, I think the biggest thing for me is close to what Olamide was talking about, being proactive. My biggest thing is reading. I know we say read all the time, but you need to read. Like, read as much as you can when you find it, where you find it. Attend as many seminars and workshops as you can find. And I know we use social media a lot, so maybe think about what kind of handles you need to follow. So a lot of people that talk about the sector on Twitter, a lot of people who talk about it on Facebook, but I think Twitter actually would be a really good place for you to go. I know we go on Twitter and have all these other conversations, but there's a lot of people talking about the energy sector on Twitter and on LinkedIn especially. So follow those people and follow the industry news. If you follow the news, you can follow money. So think about when you watch the news, when you hear about a new project happening, that means they're opening. So that's something to chase after. So if you follow news, local, international, you sort of know what's going on. You kind of know what questions to ask and who to ask those questions. So that would be those would be my last words.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Wow, this was fantastic. And wow, I really, really enjoyed this, and I hope everyone enjoyed and got a lot from this as well. I'll hand over to my colleague now before I stay here any longer and keep asking questions, because I've really had a good time with this session. So thank you all so much, and I will now hand over to my colleague who will take over for the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this, Chinonso. So we'll be moving on to our next panel session. And I think it's very interesting because it's always very good to listen to women leaders in this space, in every space, and especially in this space, in the renewable energy space. I'll have with me on this session Ms. Vera Nwanze from Azuri Technologies and Ms. Omobola Omofine from Omofaye, apologies if I didn't pronounce that properly, from Energy. And we'll basically be speaking about the opportunities in the sector, but even more specifically for women and how women can access these opportunities and position themselves strategically. And also let them know that there's a seat for them at the table across the entire value chain. Do I have Ms. Vera here and Omobola? Could you please turn on your video?
Hi, Chisom. Vera is here.
Yes. So
hello, Chisom. Hello, everyone.
Yes. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that we have an interesting conversation that will sort of make people curious and make people begin to take active steps, especially the women, into paying more attention to this sector when they see the various roles that they can play. And I think my first question would be for Ms. Vera, and then eventually you, Ms. Omobola. Could you please share from your experience, share from your wealth of experience, what the journey has been for you as, just like from the panel we're coming from, where everybody has to start somewhere, some from internships, some from very entry-level roles, to the point where you're managing directors and CCOs in various energy companies.
Yes. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vera Nwanze. I'm the General Manager for Azuri Technologies. I feel honored to be invited to this exciting forum, especially doing what I like to do best, which is engaging and interacting with the futures of tomorrow. I hope the attention level is still very high. Are the students on board? Can I hear you say yeah, if that is correct?
They can raise their hands, but I'm sure they can speak.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so while we still have you on board, I would like to share a few experience in my career journey. I am a trained pharmacist, and my journey started far back as in the 80s from the University of Jos. Of course, like you all went through, it was a rigorous training exercise. You virtually almost study 24/7. But along the line, you still find a way to have fun, and you create that fun yourself. Nobody can do that for you. On graduation, my first job was clinched with Glazo, now GSK. And how did that happen? I'm sharing this story because I want you all to learn from it. Our previous speaker has talked about you listening to the right news to know where opportunities arise. I was just rounding up my youth service, and I came to Lagos for the Christmas break, and I just felt, rather than just having fun and just going back to my NYC location, why not go to the companies which I like to work with? So I sat down, mapped out all the different multinational companies. I had wanted to work with multinational companies anyway. And then I also looked at the top 3 multinational companies, and I decided to write my applications, put in all the documentations I have into place, and I visited all those companies one by one. It was in the process of going to Glasgow that I got the hint that, they have interview tomorrow for the medical representative. And I said, wow. I said, can I just join just to have an experience of what it takes for a job interview? And that was how I was allowed, and I had the interview. And as it will turn out, I topped the list, and the rest is then history. But along the line, I like to share this story because as women, we kind of been looked down at by mostly men. And when I came for the interview that particular morning, I saw quite a lot of applicants reading, and I just came casually. So I thought I was going to do myself some good, and I quickly walked up to somebody whom I found had so many books, and I said, please, can you spare me one of the books, and what should I even study for? And he looked at me from head to toe and said, you are just wanting to study now. They will soon call us in few hours. And I said, yes, whatever I'm able to grab, I could do that before the start of time. And he said, by the way, let me just advise you. I don't think you should bother yourself going through this interview. And I said, why? He said, because they don't want women. I said, what? She said, yes. I said, why? He said, because women will refuse to go for transfers. Sooner or later, they get married, they're having children, then they are making excuses to be off work, either because their kid is ill or they want to take him or her for immunization and blah, blah, blah. And then he asked me a second question. Where did you graduate from? I said, University of Jos. He said, in fact, that you don't even stand chances because the University of Jos students are not popular. I thought about it. These were not encouraging words for me at that time, but rather than use it to demoralize me or demotivate me, I decided to use it as a stumbling block. So I breathed in and I slowly breathed out. And I told myself, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And I went in for that interview. And as it would come out, I topped the list out of 69 applicants. And he was the one that came to me and said, so you are this sharp, you are bright. I said, what do you mean? He said, you are the first person. I said, how do you know? He said, because they call them in order of performance. I said, And this guy had bragged to me that, look, that this is his third time coming for this interview. So he knows everybody inside out. I said, okay. So when that happened, I was really, really happy. And what does that story teaches us today? That we should never be put off by anybody, no matter the circumstances. Learn to trust in your gut feeling, trust in yourself. And I tell you, that was the beginning of my great success. I started my career as a medical representative, just, cutting my teeth in the job. I never had a sales experience before. I was coming from hospital environment. I did it. Training also helped. And identifying those who you can go to when you have problems is very good. Mentorship, networking within the company's organization is very key. And then you started growing. You ask questions when you make don't be afraid not to make mistake. The only thing is make sure you learn from your mistakes. And that was how I started growing. After 4 years of being on the field, I was elevated to the clinical research manager, which were mainly opportunities which I never planned for, but I never said no to those opportunities. I take it up, take up the challenges, see what I can do, and with training also, learning from people that have done it before, even within the company or outside the company, then it also helped. And at the last, I did every kind of role that you can think of within the pharma industry and grew to become the managing director for Novartis for English West African countries. And after I've done getting to all those levels, I decided also to try my expertise and my strength outside the pharma industry. That was how I accepted the role of the general manager role for Philip Morris. Okay, and it was while doing that for 2 years that I got this invite to head the Azuri business for the West African country. And here I am today, a pharmacist by training with an MBA, having provided medicine for people, and now I'm providing electricity for those who would have remained all their life without any source of electricity. So it all is about improving life. Do I still have time to go on?
This is wow. So I'm sure everyone is wowed. We could listen to you speak for the next 1 hour, but we'd also like to hear from Ms. Omobola. But a lot of things you said stand out. One is a challenge that I face when I try to speak. I have an engineering background. So every time I try to speak to people about renewable energy, they always say it's for engineers. And it's interesting to listen to you from that background to the managing director of Azuri. So that's also one thing I think we should stop using our disciplines and our first degrees and giving them as excuses for some of the limitations that we allow. We can be, the future of work is such that you can come from a political science background, you can come from a banking and finance background. The president of Vera has a background in banking and finance. Another thing that you said that was, that really stood out is because sometimes when we face a little, limitation or a challenge or a stumbling block, we just run back and we decide to settle. I know so many people would have decided, you know what, this place is toxic already. I don't even want to work here or to even attempt. But you stood your ground and you pulled through. So that's very key. That's very interesting. And it brings me to my next question, but I'd also like to listen to have Ms. Omobola share, and then I'll go ahead and ask you this next question. Thank you so much. Ma, are you here? Yes.
Yes. Hi, Chisom.
Very excited to meet you as well.
All right. Thanks for having me on the platform today. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting everyone. And I would like to also say a big thank you to the organizers of this program. And a very, very inspiring story from Vera's side, truly, truly inspiring. So I'll just take a brief around.
Are we here? Can anyone hear?
I can't hear.
I think maybe
Can you still hear me?
Issue.
Yes,
now we can hear you.
All right. So I was thanking everybody for putting this program together and for having me. And I said that from Vera's side, a very truly inspiring journey and an amazing career so far. So from my side, it's been a long journey, but I'll try to make it very brief. My background is in sciences, and my first degree was in electrical engineering. So after graduation, I was actually posted to Lagos for my youth service. And upon getting my posting, I was actually posted to a financial institution. And when I got there, I was told I was going to be a marketer. And I said to myself that I studied engineering and I'm very interested in actually practicing what I studied. And for that reason, I formally requested I be rejected, despite the fact that I didn't even have another place of assignment yet. So I was rejected and I started looking for alternatives. So just name it, almost all the telco companies you can name in Lagos State, I tried to approach them with my CV, the brief CV I had then, I submitted it. I got called for a couple of tests and interviews. And finally, I got one that was shortlisted as the top, and I started there. And it might amaze you to know that I actually started with an indigenous telecommunication company as a network support engineer. So that means I was always on the field doing installations and, you know, everything. Sometimes when I go out to my client's place and I tell them that I'm here to install for them, they will ask me, where's your engineer? And I look at them, I'm like, the engineer, I'm here to do your installation, you know. So it was pretty challenging, because sometimes people tend to look down on you because you're a female and they feel that, you know, why should you be doing this? But again, I know what I wanted and I really pursued it to the end. And while I was with that indigenous company, I had the opportunity to actually play in several departments. Because for me, self-development is extremely important. You will see me do certifications with my money, even as a youth corper. I did so many certifications that was self-sponsored, I didn't mind. But when the opportunity opened up in the company for them to have like a commercial proposal department, I was called on and I filled that role. I was on the role for like a year. And after that, you know, the line manager heading the business unit then approached me that you look like somebody that can do sales, you know, and I was like, I haven't been a salesperson all my life, but he said, I know you can do it. And for me, any opportunity that comes my way, I never say no. So I grabbed the opportunity, and that was how my commercial sales career started. And the rest is history. And based on education and the learnings are done, building capacity, from the indigenous company, I got my first, like 3 years after I got my first multinational job with another telecommunications company. I worked there for about 4 years. After 4 years, I got a call from a power company, but they were looking for somebody that had an engineering background combined with telecommunication and could actually help them run their commercial organization in the power power unit. So that was how my power journey started. Yes, I was with that organization for about 4 years, and I moved to another organization, combination of power, IoT, and automation, as the country head for West and Central Africa, where I stayed for about 3 years before joining Energy, which is my passion, renewable solar energy, as the chief commercial officer. And it's been pretty very interesting, because when you see the impact of renewable solar energy in the industry and how we are helping to bridge the energy deficit gap, is amazing that people can have access to reliable clean energy to run their organizations, to have access to electricity in their homes, especially for productive use. And you know that on the business side, you're actually contributing to the GDP of the economy, and you are helping to save life and improve life. So that's the brief around how I started my journey and where I am today. So thank you once again for having me on.
Thank you so much. My major takeaway from what you said today was when you said, why should I be doing this? And that's the question a lot of women get asked. And they get asked this question to the point that they begin to ask themselves this question as well. So just to follow up on what you said, maybe in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, can you tell the women why they should consider a career in renewable energy and how it benefits them? Speaking to Ms. Omobala.
Say that again, Chisom.
Why should women consider a career in this sector, and how does it benefit them? Because what happens is that you hear things like, this is a man's job, you should not be doing this, and you hear it to the point that you start to ask yourself those questions. But we see you, women like yourself, doing things like this in this space, and we'd like to hear from you. Tell the women, tell the ladies on this webinar why they need to consider a career in this space and how it benefits them. Yes.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chisom, for that question. And I'm very excited that the question is coming up, because it's a pretty an important question that must be dealt with and we must talk about very often. So the first thing I will say about that is the opportunities abound. Women have to also come into this space to contribute their quota. You don't have to be in STEM, you don't have to be an engineer before you can play in the renewable energy space. For instance, I work directly for a solar company now, and there are a lot of opportunities, that women can take up, from being a legal person to an accountant in that space, to being a project manager, even on management, so it's not just limited to people that are in STEM or for engineers. The opportunities abound. Just know what you want and position yourself, build the capacity for it. Then another thing I would like to say is that the industry is actually perceived as a male-dominated one. And if you look at it, men alone cannot do it all. So women need to step up their game and also play in this space so that we can bridge the energy, we can bridge gender gap in this space. There's a push for inclusion and diversity. We need more women to come on board so that this can be a reality, not just in our clime, but globally. And also we need to increase the underrepresentation of women in this sector. We have just a few women in the energy space, and we look forward to seeing more women come on board to contribute their quota to introduce diversity and inclusion, because I believe, and I'm sure Vera will agree with me, that we believe that women have a lot to contribute in this sector. Then also, I mentioned earlier that men alone cannot do it. So we don't want shortage in the workforce. Invariably, we don't want to prevent talent shortage. So for instance, if an opening is thrown open by an organization or a company trying to recruit for a particular role, if they do not find a man that can easily fit in, then a woman, can also step in to fit in. So again, we want to prevent this sort of shortage so that this energy space, we do not have vacancy or roles open for too long. We can have it filled by either a man or a woman that is equally qualified. So again, that brings me to my point to say that for every woman on this call, there's space for you in the renewable energy sector, be you an accountant, be you a lawyer, be you a project person, even engineers, and on the management. For instance, the company where I work currently, we have about 3 women on the management, and for us, it's a big deal, because there is a seat for every woman at the table, just only that you need to build capacity for it. Because when the opportunity arises, nobody will say because you're a woman, that's why you are being offered this opportunity. You have to work for it, you have to merit it, and you have to be equally qualified for the opportunity. So in sum, that's what I would say, that there's a space for every woman to step up their game and be part of the opportunities in the renewable solar space.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yes, just to reiterate what you said, women need to know that there's a seat for them at the table, but they also need to be prepared to take that seat when the opportunity arises. And this will bring me to my final question for both you and Ms. Vera, because yes, we know that it's very important that there's diversity and inclusion in the workplace and that women have a role to play in the sector. But it's also very important that women at the top also create pockets of opportunities for young women to also access opportunities and jobs in the sector. So I'll be asking, and anyone is free to go first, what steps have you taken or has your organization taken to increase women's participation in the energy sector? How are you encouraging women to get into this space? And I don't mean, by just jobs. I mean, just the uptake of renewables, both at home and in the workplace. And then, of course, encouraging women to take up opportunities in this space for as many as you've come in contact with.
Yeah, I would like to go first, but before then answering the question directly, I would like to state that the renewable energy sector, it is important to know that it's still nascent in the country and with great of opportunity. It is estimated to be worth about $20 to $25 billion, with the opportunity of job employment of about 30 million people by the year 2050, and currently is at the level of about 10 million people. So you can see that there's still a lot of opportunities in that area. And currently, if you look at the statistics, according to the International Renewable Energy Agency, it states that out of the 10 million plus of the people occupying the jobs in the renewable energy sector, only about 32% of them are women. So you can see that lots of opportunities abound. So to now go to the question directly, what steps have been taken to increase the women participation in the energy sector? I would say that personally, on my level as the general manager, I try to give equal opportunities to everybody during the recruitment process, and cashing into the job fairs. We go out, since we provide services to the rural communities, we try to engage the women in those communities through their community leaders, and let them know what we are into, ask for what they do currently, because most of them don't know they have much capacity to even do a lot more. And we encourage them. They could be agents, and name it, you know. We also make sure that we actually host program that targets those women especially. And also part of it is what we are having today, having conversation where we have women on the platform and encouraging them to tag into the sector. And I must particularly also mention that the renewable energy sector is not restrictive. You can be anything and you can work in it. Your qualification or your degree is just a gateway to exploring the world.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Ma. Any further comments on helping women get into and begin to access these opportunities?
All right, I would like to put in a comment, few words, just to ride on what Vera said. So personally, one of the ways that I've been trying to see how to increase the participation of women in the energy sector is one of this particular engagement. So I try to accept most of the speaking engagement, especially that has to do with youth and educating them on the renewable energy space, and also letting them know the opportunities therein. Then personally too, I'm big on mentorship and coaching for as many people as, you know, my network and people that even beyond. I've offered some mentorship and coaching to people, and also in collaboration with Women in Energy, there's a lot we're doing both locally and globally to ensure that the sensitization never stops, and we even keep educating ladies and women even up until when these ladies are still in the high schools, for them to understand that opportunities are bound for them right after school. They can take advantage of it. Then as an organization, I think we've spoken around internship. We make available internship opportunities for people to come in to learn about what the sector entails, because again, experience is very important and experience is very key. So they can have that first interaction right after school or even before they leave school, and see how the energy space works, and also carve out a niche for themselves while building capacity and also contributing their own quota and creating a career path for themselves in that space. Then lastly, for people that are passionate about entrepreneurship as well, you don't have to have all the funds or all the cash. We have a place where you can play, right? So for instance, if you're a project developer and you are interested in playing in that space, you can, you know, hit us up and we can let you know how you can participate or belong to that space, and also work towards making revenue for yourself. You might want to distribute, you might want to be a freelancer, you might want to be a retailer. So again, we make these opportunities very flexible for people, such that even if you are in school, you can start to make money for yourself, learn about how we do a lot of seminars, webinars to educate people on this space. And by the time you understand the product, then that means you can tell one people, you can tell two people, and you can also begin to informally sell and also make some money for yourself. So that's how we've been going about the education and creating the awareness in that space. And it's not even limited to just women, but for both men and women, especially the younger generation. But most importantly, also even encourage ladies from the high school to consider STEM as one of their options, even before they graduate, so that coming out of school, the integration can be very seamless. But that's not to say that there are limitations. So Vera said it all, there's no limitation, irrespective of the course or career that you study in school. You would always have a space as long as you are interested and you have built that capacity for the alignment in the space. So that will be my contribution on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been, I dare say, the most interesting session. Thank you for your, yes, and I do mean it. Thank you for this very interactive session. I believe that even beyond the women, the men have a lot of takeaways from this session. To round up, because our time is fast spent, there are a few questions on our question and answer session that we'd like for you to speak to. And I believe the first, so can you help me here? There were a couple of questions that we would like to address, and then we quickly round off.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so there is a question here, and I would like to ask Ms. Vera this question. And it says from Mr. David Achendu, it says there's untapped opportunities in the energy sector. And I guess this is, based on your experience and also just some of the, the amount of time you spent in the sector. What would you say the average capital to start a solar project is? And would you say there's any funding available to someone looking to start this project?
Yes, I would like to start to say that you don't really need any specific capital to start off this business, because depending on the part you want to play in, it could be in partnership. So you could be a distribution network like a stockist, learning about the product. So you introduce the product to people, then you get commission. So you are coming with a zero financing funds. And like the earlier speakers also mentioned, there are a lot of funding opportunities in this sector, especially for startups, but you have to pitch your case properly to be listened to and to be heard. Okay, so you can start off with zero funding.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mabala, do you have anything you would like to contribute to that question?
Yeah, Vera captured it all. Vera, if you're interested, you can start with zero capital, right? Look for the OEMs that already have the product, leverage on that, and you can get your customers, they can sell to you on behalf of your customers, make your commission while you try to build your client base and scale. So you can just start from where you are, really.
Thank you so much. If I could just quickly squeeze in, there's another question I thought was quite interesting from Mr. Benjamin Asuku. And he was talking about how in some countries, the government provides tax incentives for companies that embrace renewable energy. So he would like to know if there's anything similar now in Nigeria, or maybe something that's in the pipeline. So if there's any awareness you have, if you could kindly share that with us.
Yes, for now, for the renewable energy sector, there are really no significant tax incentive, and that is one thing we are also driving for. We are having a multi-stakeholder engagement, engaging with the government to see how they can put the appropriate regulatory framework in place to actually motivate people to play in this sector. They said there's zero tax for the importation of the panels, but this is not still being executed. So it's still work in progress. So we hope and believe that they should compare Apple with Apple, because we've had some engagements with the ministries in the past, and it's just like, because a lot of products in this sector is huge coming in, so they want to gather the much revenue they can get. But I mean, there are lots of talks that is still in progress in this.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mabola, any final words, any contributions?
Yeah, I think it's well captured. But my final words to people on the call is, I would just say in a nutshell that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, not just having a dream or just believing in it, but you must be ready to put some work to it, to build capacity so you can achieve the success you desire.
And let me just add to that the renewable energy sector is new, it is the future, and it is a sustainable development for the country and for the whole world. Everything needs energy. The plane, the cars, the equipment we own in the house, it needs energy. And we're also realizing the handfulness of the generators. The cancers that we are seeing these days. So renewable energy is safer, is greener, and is nascent, and there are a lot of opportunities that are abound. And to close, I will say that the most powerful motivation is that of self-directiveness, and resilience. You keep moving, don't restrict yourself, and above all, be yourself. You can't be Vera, Vera can't be you. And that's because we are all uniquely made. So believe that there's no glass ceiling that cannot be shattered. On this note, I say thank you for allowing me to speak in this forum.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. This was a fantastic panel, and I really appreciate this. I hope that the women who are in attendance, especially those who are in school right now, really took a lot away from this, because like my colleague said earlier, there is this perception of engineering or renewables in general as a male-dominated field that women can't approach or can't get into. But seeing two very successful women in this field who obviously accomplished a lot does a lot to inspire these young women. And I really hope that they feel encouraged and motivated by this. And also just to really double down on what you said about how renewable energy is not, it's a nascent and growing field in Nigeria, but then also all around the world, the different countries all over the world who are really working to develop this sector. So you could, for those of you who would obviously like to have the international experience working in other countries, you can start a job in renewable energy, and it could take you to other parts of the world. It could take you to other organizations internationally. And, you never know where these opportunities could take you. So whenever you see an opportunity, jump at it, and don't wait for one to appear. You could be proactive, as Mr. Oguntoye said in previous panel. Go look for opportunities, seize the moment, and don't just sit around waiting for something to fall into your laps, because the world is moving at such a fast pace now that by the time you're waiting for something else to come to you, somebody else has already taken it. So it's very important to always be on the lookout for the newest developments, newest technologies, and just opportunities that are out there, because there are so many. So thank you so much, both of you, and to all the other speakers who came today. And thank you to everybody who has been in attendance today. I hope that you had a fantastic session. I know I did, and I'm really hoping that you all come back tomorrow for the day 2 of the session, and that we have an equally fantastic day. So thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Possible that we can have a group picture before everybody drops off. That would really be memorable. Can everyone please turn on your cameras? Let's take a picture, please.
Okay.
Okay, yes. A few more, and then I'll be happy for us to drop off. Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Yes. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.